All right, guys, welcome to the Buff Show. Today I have Whitney Sterner on the show with me today. Sterner, right? I said it right? Okay. She is, I'm excited for today's show. We're covering the top 3 reasons why you would want to live in Ogden Valley. And here I have an Ogden Valley native with me that knows everything about Ogden Valley. So I'm more of an implant. Like I've been working in the Valley for the past almost 10 years, but I've only lived there for like 3 or 4 years now. So I'm happy to have you on, Whitney, to kind of help us fall in love with the Valley. Not that it's very hard to not fall in love with, but
it's not hard at all.
So let's start out with reason number 1. I think you said it best, rural living at its finest, like the setting, right?
Yep. Everything just, you have everything you need right there in town, but like across the mountain or down the canyon, you've got stores that are more easily accessible and better, I guess, for more.
Like a Costco.
Yeah. You got Costco. We're just talking about it.
Right, where you just came from?
Yeah. So you got Costco, you got Smith's, and like just shopping, whatever you might need. 45 minutes to an hour away, you've got Farmington and the airport, so accessibility's there, but you're tucked in your own little cocoon in the Valley.
Yeah, it really is special. I guess we should just clarify what the Valley is, because sometimes when I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, the Valley, Salt Lake." I'm like, "No,
no, the Valley."
Yeah, the other Valley. So people coin it like Ogden Valley, which is kind of weird because you'd think Ogden would be Ogden Valley, but it's not.
Ogden.
Yeah. So what is Ogden Valley?
I mean, it's comprised of Huntsville, Eden, and Liberty, that way from south to north. And Eden is kind of like the hub.
Yeah.
And we're literally just in a valley. We're tucked right down in a valley, and it's great. We've got mountains and views and everything.
It's incredible.
It really is.
Like it's like one of the, I don't know. I love Montana because of all the trees and all the water, and like there's only a few places in Utah that I feel like have kind of that Montana feel with like trees and water and just like a big outdoor playground. And I think Ogden Valley is one of those places in Utah because it's just like the setting is perfect. Tons of mountains, trees, and wildlife, and we don't even have like a stoplight in the Valley, right?
Nope, that's my favorite thing. We're 1 4-way stop.
Yeah.
That's it. And stop signs, and sometimes not even.
Yeah.
Just kind of roll through.
It's incredible. And I'm pretty sure you can get to the airport only passing one traffic light. I think coming back you don't hit any, but going there you hit one. It's crazy. Like one traffic light to get to the airport, it's bizarre. And like depending on where you're at in the Valley, you can be to Salt Lake in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's great. Like you have what you need, and then anything extra that you want, it's just a stone's throw away.
Yeah, which is cool. So let's jump to the second reason why you'd want to move to Ogden Valley, and it's the recreation. So speak to us a little bit on the recreation. What does Ogden Valley have that's so fun recreation-wise?
Well, we're surrounded by 3 ski resorts, which is kind of like our crowning glory.
Yeah.
We've got Nordic, we got Powder, and we've got Snow Basin.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are awesome. Like Nordic is perfect for beginners, and like they've got the little tubing park. It's just kind of a fun little place to go. Powder, up the way, it's the #1 ski resort in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's articles out there all about Powder Mountain.
Yeah.
You're hearing about it because of our Netflix friends. And
right.
like, it's making waves, and it's a great resort.
Yeah.
They are adding new lifts, and same with Snow Basin. They
Right.
just added new lifts, and like just the Olympics has been at Snow Basin, and I think is slated for 2034 for Utah as well. So like we're making waves up in our little town, and the recreation is a big part of that. Like we also have Pine View Reservoir.
Yeah.
They do like wake surfing competitions there. It's fun. We have our own pro wake surfer in the valley. She's so cool.
That is awesome.
And, we just kind of have we have a little nest egg of just fun in the mountains. Like, I love to take my kids out hiking, and I like that I can literally walk out my door and I can walk to a trail.
Right.
And we're enjoying the mountains, we're enjoying nature, and I can teach them to love and respect it as much as I do.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands of miles of, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of miles of like trails that you can go play on. When I turned 30, we did I wanted to do a 30-mile trail run, and we did it all. Like, we touched asphalt. Like, we had to cross the divide road.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it. And we did 30 miles for my 30th birthday, all like on a trail. And we summited 3 peaks. It was like awesome.
Yeah.
And like, whether you're a mountain biker, dirt biker, horseback rider, runner, like, there's trails for everybody up there, which is wild. And I, like, in the summer, I get out a ton, and I have not hit, I'll bet I haven't even hit half the trails.
Oh, no. There's so many.
There's more being created like every day. It's bizarre. So if you're looking for like public recreation, because I grew up in Morgan Valley, and like, it's again another valley and very rural, but it's not like public lands. You're not surrounded by all the public lands. You have like Snow Basin, which Ogden Valley is like. Snow Basin is in between Morgan Valley and Ogden Valley, and Snow Basin has amazing trails up there, but that's about the closest thing that Morgan has to like really nice, cool trail systems. But in Ogden Valley, it's just like North Fork Park, Powder Mountain, Skyline Trail, like, the list goes on and on. Middle Fork, like, I haven't done hardly anything up Middle Fork in Huntsville.
And I love that a lot of the resorts are bringing in like bike parks, and like, just because they're a winter resort primarily, they're opening it up for all the summer recreation as well. Like, Powder did the dirt, and like Nordic has theirs, and also Snow Basin hosts a slew of events in the summertime, which you've spoken about before. Like, there's so many fun, amazing things that we can participate in and be a part of.
Yeah. Like, just at Snow Basin last year, I did the Spartan race, which was up at Snow Basin, and then we did 29029, which is a huge event up at Basin. Like, Basin does so many events over there.
Yeah.
And then they open up their lifts for mountain bikers in the summertime, which is cool. And I haven't really done that. I had a buddy go to Powder Mountain and mountain bike, and he's like, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So
it's really cool. Like, it's called Hidden Lake for a reason, and sometimes you don't notice that there's actually like a hidden lake on that trail. It's so cool.
That
so
is
if you ever
sweet.
get an opportunity, go up to Powder and hit Hidden Lake.
I need to do that. Yeah, it's a pretty special spot. Winter, summer, like, you just have any time of the year you have recreational activities that you can get out and do. North Fork Park, they groom their trails for like cross-country skiing and stuff like that, which is really cool. I like snowmobiling or like timber sledding. There's tons of that. You go up towards Monty. Such an amazing spot to live. And then the summertime, you have the reservoir, so if you like boating or swimming or kayaking. And then you have Causey, which is up into Huntsville, and that's a pretty like special spot up there. Cliff jumping, kayaking, paddleboarding.
On the salmon run.
Yeah.
Like, you can go up and hike. It's like a 5-mile hike up Skull Crack, and it's a good hike and so fun to just see the salmon. And but paddleboarding up there is the best because there's no motors allowed on Causey.
Right.
So you're able to just kind of like, I don't know, I like to just let my kids adventure, and it's great because I don't worry so much about them getting hit by a boat or anything.
Yeah. No, that is true. Well, I guess anything else you want to cover on the recreational side of it?
Nope, I think we got it.
I guess one other thing I'll mention, like, even like, I have a friend that loves dirt biking, and I enjoy it too. I'm like, I do a little bit of it all, but he took his motorcycle from Ogden Canyon and made it all the way up to Lava Hot Springs in Idaho, which is just crazy on single track. I'm like, that's unreal. Like
Skyline Trail, that's my husband's favorite track to ride.
Yeah.
Just because you get a full scope of the magnitude of the gorgeousness
Oh
of the
my
valley.
gosh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Going up to Ben Lomond is like, I've done it every year on my birthday for like the past 5 or 6 years, and I love it. It's like such a cool mountain to climb. Okay, let's jump to the community. Lastly, so we have the setting, the recreation, and lastly, third is the community. So what can you speak of when you mean, like, what do you mean by community?
So growing up in the valley, like I was always just surrounded by the coolest people, like,
Yeah.
and just always thought that like we have our elementary school and just like always the 4th of July in Huntsville, just everybody. And even over in Liberty Days, I love Liberty Days because it's just a single line. Like, I don't know, there's just so much fun, and the community really loves and cares for where they live.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I don't know, it's just special.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard for me to separate myself from like having grown up there, because
Right.
I lived in Ogden for a couple of years and it was like, nope, going
Yeah.
back home.
Yep.
I moved right back to Eden. So it's just, it's just home.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to describe it.
Yeah.
The community is so cool. Everybody cares so deeply for the land. They care for where they're at, and it just makes it the best.
Right. No, I agree. I definitely have seen that, like moving here. It's been cool because our kids are all younger, and it's like Kidri was in soccer the first year up there, and like we'd see all these young families at soccer practice and the games, and like it was just cool. Like every Saturday, going to see a bunch of these different people. So nice. A lot of them were like going out and hitting the trails after, like doing, like enjoying where they lived as well. And then like some had t-ball. There's just like so much to do. Kidri and some are doing tumbling right now. They love it. And then just, I would say a big thing that I've noticed, there's so much like to do for your kids, and no matter what stage you're at, like I've had a lot of clients move here that are just like retired and wanting to enjoy life, and like they love it here as well. But there's like a wide diversity of people in the valley. Like
100%.
you get people from all over the world that just like, they're like, man, this is a hidden gem, and like they're here to stay just because they're like, this is a special spot. And I feel like I know I take it for granted because like it's normal for me to be 20 minutes from a ski resort that's amazing, or these trails and things like that. And I think it's funny because I interact with these other people that are like, man, I've been to like most of the states, and like this is like my favorite place in the world to come to. And you're like, man, it's just weird because
Yeah.
you get all these people coming in from all around the world that love it here. And I think it's easy for people that just, this is their normal, to take it for granted.
Oh, I find myself oftentimes doing that, and I have to remind myself, and remind my kids to do the same thing. Like, we watched the meteor shower over
Yeah.
the summer, and that's another beautiful thing about the valley is like we have dark skies,
Yeah.
and we're in a dark sky area, and we went out and we were just chilling on the end of our driveway in this. It was, we're in a little neighborhood, so there's plenty of people around, but it was still dark, and we still got to see meteors. And my cute 9-year-old, he was just like, "Mom, we live in the most beautiful place." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, you do. You do."
I'm glad you realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah. No, it is so special. The other thing I was going to mention is like the inversion. Like in the wintertime, we lived in like Logan for a while, and they get the inversion really bad up there. Salt Lake Valley gets it, and it never really seems to come over into like the Eden side very often.
Not really. Like, and we get enough snow. Like, last year was record breaking. Like,
Yeah.
we get what we need, and just everything works out. And
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. You always have a good view no
Yeah.
matter where you go, and you always have everything you want. I don't
Yeah, it is a special place, and maybe we're biased, but it is really cool.
It's easy to be biased.
Yeah, I mean, just recapping the recreation. I mean, and you can do any sport you want to do. Like I saw a windsurfer on Pineview this summer. I'm like, that is cool. Like I didn't know we got that much wind that you could go windsurfing, but it wasn't even windsurfing. It was like kite surfing because it had like this huge kite. Like that is so cool. So the recreation, the setting, like just beautiful mountains, rural living at its finest, like you said, but still close to like all the amenities like Sam's Club in Riverdale, or Costco in Ogden, or the airport in Salt Lake, all within an hour. And then lastly, the community, like just being surrounded by amazing, awesome people. It's pretty cool. But let's talk about 3 cons that you would say are the biggest cons to living in the valley.
Well, we talked about just that there's only 3 access points. We've got
Yeah.
Trappers Loop, Ogden Canyon, and North Ogden Divide.
Yeah.
That's how you get in and out of the valley. And 2 of those are big hills
Over a mountain.
yeah, over a mountain, and the other is a winding canyon. And so you really have to be careful, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's lots of hazards,
Mhm.
ice and snow, and it makes it really difficult, especially for like high school students driving over to Weber High.
Yeah.
Since we don't have a high school in the valley, it does take a toll on those young drivers who are still learning. So
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the Divide is like in the top 10 sketchiest roads in Utah.
it's pretty sketch.
So you have the access points. I mean, in the summer, you have going over Monte Cristo over into what's over there.
Bear Lake.
Yeah, Bear Lake area. But the access, like, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are like, oh, yeah, we were going to buy in the valley, but we just couldn't, like, get over the roads in the wintertime. Like, everybody's just worried about the snow. And I don't blame them because, trappers can get pretty bad in the wintertime. Like, that's going right over by Snow Basin. Ogden Canyon gets pretty nasty sometimes. And then the Divide is, you want to avoid it if it's snowing.
Yeah.
Unless you have, like, I do the Divide all the time. I've even done it with a trailer in the wintertime, and that was like pretty scary.
Yeah.
I had
That was brave.
Yeah. But it was like raining in Ogden. I'm like, oh, I'll be fine. But like halfway up the mountain, it turned to snow, and it was like sticking on the road. And yeah, it was sketchy. But if you have a good like 4-wheel drive car, snow tires, like you will be fine. And I've never really been stuck or stranded in the valley, like anytime. And
I've never felt that either.
We had like record-breaking snow last year, and I like every time I was fine. Like the county is always pretty good at getting the roads cleared off as fast as they can, especially the main ones. And if you have an all-wheel drive car, you're typically pretty good, unless you have if you have bad tires or something like that.
Well, and even like in high school, I would put studded snow tires on my non-all-wheel drive car, and I would still be able to make it up and over Trappers
Really?
and the Divide. And honestly, it's just being aware, I guess.
Yeah.
You just have to be cautious.
Yeah.
And I guess that is one of the downsides. But having learned how to driving through the canyon, it wasn't so bad for me.
Mhm.
But for other people, it might be not as conducive.
Yeah. Carly's always on. She's on like a Ogden Valley Moms page, and then there's like a road page. So I'll like in the wintertime, I'll text her, be like, hey, what are they saying about the Divide?
What are the moms saying?
Yeah. What are they saying about the Divide or the canyon? And like, there's always updates like, hey, drove the canyon in like 30 minutes ago. It's great. It's clear, whatever. So
that's another fun thing to tack on to the community of like why it's a cool place to live.
yeah,
Just
all the info that you can get readily accessible.
yes.
So you kind of mentioned the second drawback to living in the valley, but it's the high schools in North Ogden. Weber High is in North Ogden, and the only way over is the Divide, which is super close, but like we said, it's like a pretty treacherous road in the wintertime, windy, steep, scares most people. And then there's Ogden Canyon that just tacks on. I don't know how much time it would tack on, probably a good 20 minutes.
Depends where you're coming from. Like I grew up in Huntsville, so
That was closest.
going through Ogden Canyon was actually about 6s
Wow.
versus going over North Ogden Divide. So you kind of just have to pick and choose what
Yeah.
makes more sense. Like even from Eden, I think the people over in Liberty have it a little bit harder because it's like, gosh,
I have to go
School-
around.
school is like 10 minutes away if I just go up and over the
Yeah,
Divide.
Yeah.
But if I go through Ogden Canyon, I'm like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and it just depends again on the weather. So
Yeah.
It
No,
can be
that's
tough.
that's the boat we're in. I'm like, man, Smith's is close for us. It's like 15 minutes away if I'm feeling brave and want to go over the Divide, which 90% of the time I am. So if you have a high schooler, that's the downside. That we don't have a high school in the valley. You got to go to Weber High in North Ogden. And then lastly is we just get more snow. Like right now, Ogden is like pretty barren. There's not a lot of snow. And you go over into Eden, Huntsville, Liberty, and we have like I know at my house we have a good like 6 to 8 inches still.
Yeah.
And the other day when it snowed a lot, we got like 14 to 16 inches. It was wild. Last year, just like buried.
For sure. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of us have PTSD from last
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
But no, my kids went sledding this morning. So,
yeah.
but down here there's grass and it's green and it's
Hmm.
pretty.
We were in Cache Valley earlier today, and they had a sign sleigh rides, and there was no snow. Carly's like, "You mean wagon rides?
Yeah.
Like, there's no snow here." But luckily, we do have snow. So, I mean, that's a pro for most people. But like, if you're looking at it from like a snow removal standpoint, or just like the difficulties of driving in the snow and stuff, snow is a big deterrent for some people that just don't love it. Right?
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword.
I was going to say that one is like, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
It could be like, yes, this place is going to snow me in and I'm going to snowshoe out to wherever I need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the three cons. The 3 access points, the high schools in North Ogden, and just we get more snow. So anyways, we wanted to create like a quick guide for anybody looking into the valley that wanted the pros and the cons. So hopefully you find this helpful. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Whitney or I. So thanks, guys.